Good afternoon and welcome to the Record Rewound. I am pleased to inform our listeners that today's guest is the great Pope Pius IX. Thank you, Mr. O'Connor, and it is a pleasure to be here. Please, call me David. I'd like to start today's show by hearing a little bit about your past. Well, alright, David. My birth name is Giovanni Maria Mastia Ferretti, and I was born into a family of lower nobility who did not want a great deal of reform. I studied in Volterra at a college run by Pierists until I suffered an epileptic attack. Oh? Well, they were seizures that occurred randomly. That must have been terrifying. Very. After my health restored, I studied theology at the Roman College. I was initiated into Ignatian spirituality by Cardinal Carlo Edescalchi, and for a time being, I thought of joining the Jesuits. I spent my first years as a priest at the Roman orphanage of Tata Giovanni. I became the Archbishop of Spoleto in 1827, where I assessed situations of the 19th century, such as revolutionary troubles of 1831. After 5 years of being Archbishop, I transferred to Imola in 1832 and was made Cardinal in 1840. At first, I was well liked by liberals, and many assumed I was myself, because of my administrative qualities, goodwill, and avoidance of party spirit. As Thomas Bokenkotter describes in A Concise History of the Catholic Church, quote, "The election in 1846 of Pius IX first was good news for the liberal Catholics, since the new Pope reputed to be something of a liberal himself. At first, Pius lived up to the reputation. He issued a general amnesty for political prisoners, made provision for sharing the government of the papal state with laymen, and finally granted his subjects a constitution that set up bicameral form of government, whose lower house, the Council of Deputies, was elected by indirect suffrage. Many believed that I was a liberal because I signed an amnesty decree on July 17th, and I granted some orderly desired reforms." Wow, and you never corrected anyone that you aren't a liberal? The myth of being a liberal was destroyed soon into my reign as Pope. As the New Catholic Encyclopedia states, quote, "It became clear that the Pope would refuse to transform the state of the Church into a constitutional government, and he would never agree to participate actively in a war for Italian independence against Austria, because this would be incompatible with his role as common father of the faithful. I held a strong belief in peace and unity under God. No wonder you considered being a Jesuit. Could you tell me a little bit about your experience as Pope?" Well, I took the name Pius IX in honor of Pius VII, who acted as a mentor for me when I was young. As I outlined administrative reform, I aimed to correct the abuses rather than to modify its structure. Well, it seems logical. What can you tell me about the year of 1848? 1848 was the year of the economic depression. I had very little knowledge of politics, which did not help our situation. A group of radicals were brought about by this depression and assassinated a good friend of mine, the papal prime minister, Pellegrino Rossi. I ran from the uprising and took cover in Gaeta in the Kingdom of Naples on November 24th, 1848. That's terrible. I can't imagine running from a group of radicals who were so violent. You're telling me. I was the spiritual head of the faithful throughout the world. I could have easily been a target to these radicals. My safety was crucial. When I re-entered Rome in 1850, I was supported by European diplomacy and French expeditionary force. No radical is going to come any close to harming you with those having your back. What were your incentives for sending out these warnings? They were all in favor of restoring Neo-Scholasticism, which is the authority of the Church Fathers to moderate problems. I also frequently referenced the principles that would guide the restoration of society. These principles came from the encyclical Quanta Cura and the Syllabus of Error. My contribution acted as a strong effort to eliminate naturalistic deism of the Enlightenment and refocus Catholic thought of the fundamental idea of revelation. I wanted to make the Catholic Church as strong as it could be. I wanted to enhance the clergy's spiritual life and to encourage the devotion of the faithful. Well, with you as a role model, I feel those goals were within reach. Pope Pius IX, you were looked at as an example of religious devotion. You always preserved an attitude that refused to agree with any thought but your own. You held a calm and peaceful courage when trouble erupted. Your intelligence is lively and practical. You hold a warm passion for everything, which brought the approval and great admiration from all who saw you. You are truly an amazing Pope and human being, and it was a pleasure getting to know you and having you on the show. Thank you, David, and I hope to come again soon.